Julie Kelly on Substack. She's got Declassified with Julie Kelly, the number one really investigative reporter covering January 6th. She deserves a Pulitzer Prize. There's no question about it. Julie Kelly, we have the president signed a big executive order, and he ordered the Bureau of Prisons to release, I believe, some 1,500 J6ers immediately. What are you hearing about this?
So he just signed in the Oval Office a full pardon for all J6ers. So this represents at least 1,500 defendants. That's the total caseload. He did do a carve-out for 6 defendants who he said are getting commutations, but he is reviewing their files. I think one of them might be Ray Epps. I'm not sure, although he didn't serve any prison time. But what this means, Mark, is the J6...
Let me just be clear, because I'm not... You're the expert. Is this every single one of them?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Full pardon.
Go right ahead.
Pardon. Yeah. So, and Mark, I want to thank you because you had me on your show in April of 2021, your Fox show. I was so nervous because you are like an idol of mine.
Oh, my gosh.
You were one of the few who would take on this issue and helped me get the word of the plight of the J6ers. And, of course, this was early on. We had no idea that this would continue for another 2.5 years. So I want to thank you. The J6ers appreciate your attention to this. Because
honestly, Julie, I don't deserve any credit. You deserve all the credit. You do. I'm just listening to your genius on this and your hard work on this, and we are very indebted to you. And I want to make sure I understand this and the audience does. Every single one of these people in prison is going to be released. Is that what I understand?
They are releasing people as we speak. Mm-hmm. So they have started releasing people within the past few hours. I believe a directive went down to the Bureau of Prisons as soon as he was sworn in, that here are the list of people who are currently incarcerated. I think it's a few hundred who need to be released. And, Mark, this includes members of the Proud Boys, convicted of seditious conspiracy, absolutely absurd conviction, trial.
20 years. Some of them got 20 years, right?
22 years. Enrique Tarrio, his mother texted me today, this evening, telling me that he is being released and he will go back home to Miami. So, yeah, pardons for all. That's what. And President Trump was very unequivocal. He signed it in the Oval Office. He was asked by a reporter, is this full pardon? And he said twice, full pardons for everyone except 6 individuals that they're reviewing their case.
We just played that. We just played it. You know what's remarkable, Julie Kelly, and I think you'll agree with me. There he is. He's signing executive orders. He's taking questions from reporters. He's asking every single one of them. If he doesn't understand, he's telling them to clarify their point. We've never had a president like this, have we? I've never seen anything like this.
No. And it is I don't want to say a different President Trump, but he obviously knows he has a mandate. He obviously is not going to make some of the same mistakes he made the first time around, especially personnel decisions. And he knows what he's up against. And the purge at the Department of Justice and FBI and the people that he's putting in there now, Mark, if they're not going to restore the Department of Justice, at least, to your point, his executive order investigating the DOJ, the weaponization of it, and putting the right people in place to not only make sure this doesn't happen again, but hold accountable the cabal who did this to the J6ers and, of course, to Donald Trump himself.
And I want people to understand a pardon means your record is clean. Right, Julie?
It does, Mark. And I also believe the next part of this could be restitution for J6ers because, as you know, their lives have been utterly destroyed. They are bankrupted even if they were charged with misdemeanors because the Biden regime and Joe Biden himself branded these people domestic terrorists. And that is how their family members, their communities, their employers, their clients all treated them. So this is such a significant first step. But to make these people whole, there should be some more steps. And I do think the president is committed to doing that as well.
You see, this president is uniquely positioned to do this because of what they did to him. The same Department of Justice, some of the same judges, Julie, the same railroading that took place here. You have given chapter and verse about how this worked or really shouldn't have worked with some of these prosecutors, the threats, the upgrading of the offenses if they didn't agree to certain plea agreements. So many truly innocent people getting caught up in this, and they just threw the book at him, and the judges. What do you make of these judges, by the way?
Well, Joe Biden did not pardon the judges. Of course, he pardoned the J6 Select Committee. He pardoned the 4 police officers who have lied under oath in front of the committee and in court proceedings, Mark. These are
Wait a minute. So he pardoned the cops, those 4 cops, too?
Yes, he did.
Wow. See, I've been on the air. I didn't know this. So he pardons the members and pardons these 4 police officers. So he was told who to pardon, right?
He was. So this is Michael Fanone, Aquinello Ganal, Daniel Hodges, and Harry Dunn, who not only committed perjury before the J6 committee, worse, Mark, they attended numerous court hearings for J6 defendants as witnesses and as victims, giving victim impact statements.
Well, they'll deny they committed perjury, but I guess they needed those pardons, didn't they?
Correct. So now they're off the hook, and because they committed crimes. And this is part of, though, the entire operation to target J6ers and, of course, the president.
But what do you make of these judges? I mean, you have these judges, almost, really all of them, were throwing books at these people left and right, left and right. It's almost as if it was an assembly line process, don't you think?
It appears that it definitely could rise to the level of a conspiracy between the judges and the Department of Justice to systematically violate the rights of these defendants by, first of all, not moving a single trial out of Washington, D.C., going along with the DOJ. And these are conservative judges who did this, Mark, as well.
I agree.
Yes. So obviously that is probably the most egregious abuse there, withholding discovery, including Brady material, concealing the deployment of FBI informants and other undercover operatives who were involved in those proceedings. So there was no entrapment defense that could be made. And to the extent that J6ers tried to offer the entrapment defense, it was uniformly denied. So this was such a rigged system. And for people who saw what Donald Trump went through, whether it was New York or Washington, certainly Florida was the exception, this is precisely what happened to J6ers, but they had no means to defend themselves. Most of them had public defenders who hated them. I mean, there are a few good ones, but most of them hated their Trump-supporting clients. They had to take them. And in some cases, Mark, they gave Trump supporters books to read and movies to watch that showed how racist America is, how anti-Semitic it is. This was a brainwashing operation as well. So the judges must be held accountable. And since we're running out of people they can investigate and prosecute because of the Biden pardon list, the judges should be towards the top of the list, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, good luck with that. But this Chunkin, I mean, what she did with Trump, what she did with these people, I mean, she shouldn't be on the bench anymore. But the problem is, the ethics people, they're out of the same milieu there as in Washington, D.C., the Department of Justice, and so they're going to have a lot of work. They're going to have to do the Department of Justice. It's going to be very tough, isn't it?
It is, but I think he has put in place, obviously, Pam Bondi, but also Todd Blanche, who was his attorney representing him in the New York case and the Florida case, who will be his deputy attorney general, Emil Bove, who right now is actually acting deputy attorney general. These people have had a ringside seat, and of course, Kash Patel as FBI director. They understand exactly what this DOJ and FBI have done for the past decade, and they're going to want to hold people accountable. If Congress will not, that DOJ, whether it's the OLC or whether it's some other entity, but look, we need criminal referrals for people like Matthew Graves, the DC U.S. attorney, who handled this J6 prosecution. Jack Smith, obviously, and his team of thugs, who they were not pardoned by Joe Biden today, surprisingly. So there's other people that can be held accountable, but, very shocking to see the wholesale pardon of the J6 committee, not just the members and the cops, but the investigators. So the staffers, the entire criminal enterprise that was the J6 Select Committee is off the hook.
Yeah, that drives me nuts right there. But I think Chip Roy is right. We go ahead and we hold hearings for these people who, and that ought to include these members of Congress, especially given the destruction of all that evidence. They destroyed that evidence because obviously that evidence undermined the core parts of their arguments, right?
Correct. So we know that they destroyed, and Betty Thompson admitted this, they destroyed all of the video recordings of more than 1,000 witness depositions. That should easily land people in jail.
Yes.
He admitted it in a letter to Barry Loudermilk. I mean, he told them, yes, we destroyed those tapes. You don't need to have them. And, of course, the perjury by Cassidy Hutchinson, which the president brought up today, that account, which she said never happened. And Liz Cheney appears to have suborned that perjury because she connected with Cassidy Hutchinson behind the scenes on an encrypted app. Then all of a sudden, Cassidy Hutchinson changed her story.
Yeah, they can't be able to just get away with this. I understand the pardon power, but Congress can still hold hearings depending on the nature of this pardon, and we can look at the edges of it. When you're pardoning people for any crimes they may commit in the future, that doesn't sound right to me. Something seems odd. It's never been really tested because we've never had a bonehead like Biden handing out pardons like this, like lollipops, and pardoning the wrong people, of course, the perpetrators, not the victims. By the way, he pardoned Peltier. Do you remember that case, 1975? You have two FBI agents who were murdered. They were injured. They were on the ground. They were executed, shot in the head. This guy was found guilty. So for 50 years they've been trying to get him out and so forth. So Biden, today, commutes his term. Who even thinks about doing that on the way out the door, Julie?
A vile man, Joe Biden, I think the worst human being who has ever been in the Oval Office, and that's saying a lot. But he also saved the life of child rapists and murderers. I live in suburban Chicago. The man who drove two little girls, 8 years old, on Mother's Day off of their bicycles, raped both of them and brutally murdered both of them. God. And he saved this monster's life. Makes no sense.
Because he wants a legacy with the hard left. He's the modern day whatever he is. He's against the death penalty, and he took this controversial case. No, he's a damnable human being. It's just good that he's out. And then, of course, he pardons his entire criminal family. We had Peter Schweitzer in the program, chapter and verse on this family. It's a corrupt, crooked family. And he pardons them all. And we've never seen anything like this before, have we?
No, we have not. Well, he didn't pardon himself, so there's that. And I don't know how much the presidential immunity opinion in the Supreme Court from July will cover him if he was behind the scenes leading these criminal investigations and prosecutions into Donald Trump, which we have evidence that he did, he's just White House counsel. I'm not sure that will be covered under official acts or even outer perimeter conduct of a president.
Well, we ought to press the envelope's edge on it regardless and see where it takes us, because this can't happen again. We cannot go through this again. This is the thing of fascist regimes, of Marxist regimes, third world regimes. We cannot just tolerate this and buckle under what is this, retribution? Now, you know what's interesting about that word, Julie? Retribution. In other words, that means you're responding to something that somebody did to you. That's not right. Correct. So they can call it whatever they want. Me, I view it as, let's conduct a full-scale investigation. Let's get to the bottom of it and let the chips fall where they may. Period. That's the way it goes. Julie Kelly, if people want to read you and hear you, where do they go?
Thank you again, Mark, for having me on and for covering all of my work.
It's my honor.
So critical.
It really is.
To getting this done today, this day would not have happened without your help. So thank you.
You're a sweetheart.
Declassified with Julie Kelly, Substack, Real Clear Investigations, and then spent a lot of time on X with Breaking News Julie_Kelly 2.
Rich, let's put that up on my social sites because this is a major victory and Julie Kelly had a hell of a lot to do with it. All right, my friend, you take care of yourself and have a wonderful evening. You deserve it.
You too. You too, Mark. Thanks so much.
God bless.